What's up, everybody? Picture this. In 1800, a sitting president loses an election and just hands over power, no shots fired. For the first time in modern history, a government changes hands peacefully. That's where we start. This is APUSH Unit 4, 1800 to 1848. And watch what this nation does. It doubles in size, builds a market economy, tears itself apart over slavery, and reinvents democracy. Stick with me to the very end, and I'll show you the single fastest way to lock all of this in before exam day. Let's go. Jefferson called his win the Revolution of 1800 because power passed peacefully from the Federalists to his Democratic Republicans. Then, in 1803, he lands the deal of the century. Napoleon needs cash, so the United States buys the Louisiana Purchase and doubles the country's size for $15 million. But here's the tension the exam loves. Jefferson believed in a strict reading of the Constitution, and nothing in it said a president could buy land. He did it anyway, then sent Lewis and Clark to map the vast New West. Hold that contradiction. Here's the twist. While Jefferson shrank federal power, Chief Justice John Marshall pumped it right back up from the bench. In Marbury v. Madison, 1803, the court claimed the power of judicial review, the right to strike down laws that violate the Constitution. Boom, the judiciary is now a true equal branch. Later, in McCulloch v. Maryland, Marshall ruled that federal law trumps state law and upheld the national bank using the necessary and proper clause. Lock in the big idea. The Marshall Court consistently strengthened the national government over the states. Now the energy shifts. The War of 1812 against Britain ended in a draw, but it lit a fire of national pride. Americans finally felt like a real country, kicking off the era of good feelings, a stretch with basically one political party. Watch what Henry Clay does with that energy. He builds a plan called the American System, and its three parts. A protective tariff to shield US factories, a second national bank to stabilize money, and federal money for internal improvements like roads and canals to tie the country together economically. 3 parts, easy points. But that good feeling cracks over one ugly question. Would new states be free or slave? When Missouri asks to join as a slave state, it threatens the balance in the Senate. So Henry Clay brokers the Missouri Compromise of 1820, and here's the deal. Missouri comes in as a slave state, Maine comes in as a free state to keep the count even, and slavery is banned in the rest of the Louisiana Territory above the line at 36 degrees 30 minutes. It calmed things for now, but remember this, it drew a line straight through the nation. Now the economy explodes. This is the market revolution, and it connects the country through new technology. The Erie Canal links the Great Lakes to New York City, railroads push inland, and the telegraph lets news travel in minutes. Production moves out of homes and into factories, like the Lowell Mills, where young women ran the textile machines. A wave of Irish and German immigrants supplied the labor. Here's the shift the exam wants. People now produce goods to sell at market, not just for their own families. But that boom reshaped the home too. Watch how it reshapes family life and gender roles. As men leave home to earn wages, a new ideal takes hold called the cult of domesticity. Society splits into separate spheres. Men belong to the public world of work and politics, while women are expected to stay in the private home, raising moral children and keeping the household. Yes, it was an idealized, mostly middle-class vision. But you need this exact phrase, separate spheres, because women would soon push hard against it. And push they did. A massive religious revival, the Second Great Awakening, sweeps the nation, preaching that people could choose to better themselves and society. That spark lights an explosion of reform. Abolitionists like William Lloyd Garrison and Frederick Douglass demanded an immediate end to slavery. The temperance movement fought alcohol. Reformers built public schools, asylums, even utopian communities. And in 1848, the Seneca Falls Convention launched the women's rights movement, declaring that all men and women are created equal. Memorize that date. Meanwhile, politics gets rowdy. Andrew Jackson rides a wave of expanded suffrage as most states drop property requirements so nearly all white men can vote. Jackson casts himself as the champion of the common man. He rewards loyal supporters with government jobs, a practice you need to name, the spoils system. But his critics saw a power-hungry leader, and they nicknamed him King Andrew. Here's the payoff. Jackson's fights would define the era and split the country into 2 new political parties. Jackson picked 3 giant fights, so count them with me. First, the nullification crisis. South Carolina, led by John C. Calhoun, claimed a state could nullify a federal tariff it hated. Jackson said absolutely not and threatened force. Second, the Bank War. Jackson hated the Second National Bank as a tool of the rich, so he killed it. Third, and most tragic, he pushed the Indian Removal Act, forcing the Cherokee and other tribes west along the deadly Trail of Tears, even after the Supreme Court sided with the Cherokee. 3 fights, that's your answer. And all those fights produce a brand new two-party system. Set them side by side. On one side, Jackson's Democrats favored states' rights, the common farmer, and a limited federal government, and they opposed the national bank. On the other side, the Whigs, led by Henry Clay, wanted an active federal government, the American system, the bank, and they backed business and reform. This Democrat versus Whig rivalry, the second party system, would frame American politics for the next 2 decades. That contrast is a guaranteed exam question. And that's APUSH Unit 4. Run it back. The Revolution of 1800 in Louisiana, the Marshall Court, the nationalism of the American system, the Missouri Compromise, the Market Revolution, the Second Great Awakening and Reform, and Jacksonian Democracy with his Democrats versus Whigs. You just covered the whole thing. But here's the truth. Watching is not the same as knowing. This is that fastest way I promised. Head over to AIM5 and practice Unit 4 for free, with instant feedback on every question. The link is below. Now go get that 5, and I'll see you in Unit 5.